Good morning, students. So, in 12th standard chemistry portion, we have started for inorganic chemistry, first lesson metallurgy already we have completed. So, today in this class, we can see physical chemistry first lesson, sixth lesson, that is solid state. In 11th, you have studied gaseous state. So, here solid state we are going to discuss. Okay. So, in this lesson as a whole, we are going to study some of the types of solids, crystalline solids, its classification, so its properties and its defects we can discuss in this class. Okay. So, first solids. So, from the term you have studied, even from 8th standard you have studied solids, liquids and gases, isn't it? 3 phases. So, if it is properties of solids means easily you can say some of the properties easily. So, what's the nature of solids? So, if it is a solid, it should have a definite shape and volume, isn't it? So, next step. So, it should, when we are having this solid particles, so these atoms and molecules will be maybe atoms or molecules, whatever may be, that we can say as constituents, isn't it? So the constituents are packed closer to each other so that we can say the interatomic distance is short. When compared with gaseous molecules and liquid molecules, these solid state molecules, they are having short interatomic distance. So first we have seen, if it is a solid means it should have a definite shape and definite volume. Then the important characteristic is that it is rigid and incompressible. Okay. But liquids and gases, they are having different properties. So even from 8th standard you have studied that comparison between solids, liquid and gases. Can you remember that? So now in this lesson we are going to see only the properties of the solids. So first we have seen it should have a definite shape and volume. So second point we have seen, so it is rigid and incompressible. So third we have seen the constituent of the solid, maybe atoms or molecules or ions. So these will be packed together almost closer to each other so that we can say interatomic distance is short. Okay. So next, so these constituents are linked, combined together by a force that is called as cohesive force. So these are the 4 points, that is important properties of a solid. Okay. So what are the properties of a solid? We have seen, that is, so properties of solids is so they are having definite shape and volume. Next, so they are rigid and incompressible. So next is short interatomic distance. The distance between the constituents is very short when compared with liquids and gases. Next is, so these constituents are held together by strong cohesive force. Is it clear, students? So these are the important characteristics of a solids. Okay. So these solids, depending upon its nature, it is classified into crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Okay. So major classification of solids is crystalline solids and amorphous solids. So crystalline solids you have seen. So we can say example of sodium chloride, diamond. These are all example for a crystalline solid. Okay. So I will say the definition for this. Okay. So it's here atoms or molecules or maybe if it is a sodium chloride, the sodium ions and chloride ions are there, isn't it? So these ions are orderly arrangement is this ordered arrangement of this positive ion and negative ions that makes that solid as crystalline solid. Okay? Important nature of this crystalline solid is long range orderly arrangement of atoms or molecules. Okay, so if we see the amorphous solid, plastic, glass, rubber, these are all example for amorphous solids. Okay, so amorphous solids means, so just opposite to that crystalline solids. So their atoms and molecule, they have arranged in a orderly manner, isn't it? So here it is not like that. These atoms and molecules, the constituent of this particular solids is, it is not arranged in a order manner, but it is arranged in a random manner, means that we can say it is a amorphous solid. So an important keyword, that is, if it is a crystalline solid, the constituents are arranged in a orderly manner. So if it is an amorphous solid, so that how we can define this amorphous solid, students? That is, so if constituents are arranged in random manner, so it is termed as amorphous solid. Is it clear? So now we can see an important question, that is difference between crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Crystalline solids and amorphous solids. So already okay. So at least 5 points you have to memorize. Important question from this solid state, that is difference between crystalline solids and amorphous solids. So first itself I have explained the definition for this crystalline solid, isn't it? So what is crystalline solid? It is long range orderly arrangement of atoms at constituent, isn't it? That is ordered arrangement. So here amorphous solids means they are short range, random arrangement of constituents. Okay, so what is it? So here we have seen definition, that is here constituents are arranged in an orderly manner. So here constituents are arranged in a random manner. That's our first point. So next, crystalline solids means, so they are having the definite shape. Okay. So here definite shape. So here it is not definite. Shape is not definite. So next, here we can say this example of crystalline solid I have said already, sodium chloride and diamond. Amorphous solid example I have said already, that is glass, rubber, these are all examples, isn't it? So here, so when you are seeing this crystalline solid, so usually this crystalline solids are otherwise called as true solids. So it is solid means crystalline solid is called as a true solids. But here, so this amorphous solids, so they are not true solids. The other term used for this amorphous solid is, that is pseudo solids. Or supercooled liquids. next. So this crystalline solids are having the property that is called as anisotropic. So crystalline solids are anisotropic in nature, but the amorphous solids are isotropic in nature. Okay. So here heat of fusion is definite. Here heat of fusion is not definite. Fifth point, heat of fusion is not definite. Okay. So next, last example we can write that. So example is NaCl diamond. Here example is glass, rubber, plastics, etc. Okay. So see here once again. So difference between crystalline solids and amorphous solids, isn't it? So what's the first point? Here if it is a definition is asked. So crystalline solids means they are long range. The constituents are arranged in an orderly manner. So here this constituents, it is a short range order. The same time the constituents are arranged in a random arrangement. So here the shape of this crystalline solids are definite. Already we have seen that it is important characteristics of a solid. So solids are having the definite shape and volume. But amorphous solids, they are not having the definite shape. So here, so this crystalline solids are otherwise called as true solids. Amorphous solids, the other name of this amorphous solids is pseudo solids, or they are called as supercooled liquids. So next is important nature, that is crystalline solids are anisotropic in nature, but amorphous solids are isotropic in nature. So this anisotropic and isotropic definition I will say later. Next, heat of fusion is definite, but here in amorphous solids heat of fusion is non-definite. Example for this crystalline solids are NaCl diamond. They are true solids. But here amorphous solids, example glass, rubber, plastics, these are all example for amorphous solids. Is it clear, students? So next we can see the definition for anisotropy and isotropy. Only definition is given. So consider a solid, it has arranged in a manner that is, so crystalline solids are having orderly arrangement of constituents, isn't it? So consider like this. So maybe one positive atom, when it is arranged like this, negative atom is like this. So next a positive atom and a negative atom. A positive atom and a negative atom. So if it is has arranged like this in a order manner, so what may be when you are considering the physical property of refractive index, okay, or electrical conductance of sodium chloride. So when you see, so it should not be same in all directions. When you consider this direction, okay, or otherwise if you, when you consider this direction, so when you see, so in different direction, the physical properties, here when you are seeing a positive ion, negative ion and a positive ion. So here, so it's different, a negative ion, a positive ion and a negative ion, isn't it? So when you are seeing in different direction, if physical properties are different in all direction, it is called as anisotropy. So when you are, isotropy means, for amorphous solids, we are explaining this property, isn't it? So it has not, the atoms and molecules are not arranged in a order manner. It has arranged in a random manner. So that, so positive ion and maybe a positive ion or negative ion. So like this, when it is arranged in a random manner, so when you see the direction, so what will happen is maybe, so whatever the direction, so we can get this physical properties are same in all direction. so that amorphous solids exhibit the property of isotropy. This crystalline solids exhibit the property of anisotropy. If physical properties are same in all direction, same physical properties are same in all direction, that is called as isotropy. So which solids can exhibit this nature? That is amorphous solid. So what's the meaning of anisotropy? So physical properties are different in all direction, means so that is called as anisotropy. That this property is exhibited by crystalline solids. Is it clear? So next we can move to the next step, that is types of crystalline solids. So this crystalline solids are further classified as crystalline solids. So it can be classified into ionic crystals, molecular crystals, covalent crystals, metallic crystals. Okay. So how crystalline solids are classified? So they are further classified into ionic crystals, molecular crystals, covalent crystals and metallic crystals. Okay. So we can see one by one. So first one, ionic crystal, isn't it? So if it is a solid means, so in that solid is having a rigid definite shape, isn't it? So in this, all these constituents are tightly packed together and you are getting a solid here. So if it is an ionic crystal means, so here the constituents, maybe we have starting itself, it may be atoms or molecules or ions may be there, isn't it? So these constituents may be positive ion and negative ions are present in a crystal means, such type of crystal is called as ionic crystals. Okay. So depending upon the constituents, we are classifying the crystalline solid into these four categories. Okay. Only depending upon the constituents present in that crystal. So here constituents present, what are they? Cations and anions. Okay. So best example ionic crystal we can say sodium chloride. Is it clear? So next, so these cations and anions should be combined, otherwise they are having a strong binding force, isn't it? So that is called as electrostatic force. So these cation and anions are linked together by a force that is called as electrostatic force. Okay. So these are the important points related with the ionic crystals. So what is ionic crystals? So here constituents are made up of positive ions and negative ions, that is cations and anions. These cations and anions are linked together by a force that is called as electrostatic force. The best example of this ionic crystal is sodium chloride. So now we can see the properties of this ionic crystals. So they are having high melting point. Okay. So they are having high boiling point, but they will not conduct electricity in the solid state. Okay. So we know that sodium chloride is a salt, it will not conduct electricity in the solid state, but it can exhibit electrical conductance by dissolving in water. So aqueous form of this ionic crystals, they can conduct electricity. Okay. So next, even a strong force, they are having positive and negative one because of this electrostatic force of attraction. So they bind together so that a strong force can be given to that ionic crystal so that we can break up this ionic crystal. Okay. So that we used to say this ionic crystals are very hot. So see here. So ionic crystal definition we have seen, then properties also we have seen, isn't it? What is it? They are having high melting point, they are having high boiling point, then in the solid state they will not conduct electricity, but in aqueous form they can conduct. Otherwise in molten state, this ionic crystals can conduct electricity. Is Is it clear? So first one. So second one we can see covalent crystals. Okay. So example for this covalent crystal is diamond. So from the word itself you can, so from the example itself you can understand when compared with iron other crystals, so which crystals are more strong, that is covalent crystal, isn't it? So why they are strong means the constituent atoms are linked together by a covalent bonds, okay. So they are linked together by a bond that is called as covalent bonds. They exhibit poor electrical conductance. So these 2 points are given under this covalent crystals. So covalent crystal means the constituents are linked together by a bond that is called as covalent bond. The best example of this is diamond. So usually this covalent crystals are very hard. They exhibit poor electrical conductance. Okay. So next we can see what is it, that is molecular crystals, isn't it? So molecular crystals, they are further classified into this molecular crystals classified as so we can classify it into polar molecular crystals, non-polar molecular crystals, and one more, that is, what is it? Polar molecular crystals, non-polar molecular crystal, hydrogen bonded molecular crystals. Is it clear? So how we can classify away molecular crystals or further classified into polar molecular crystals, non-polar molecular crystals, and hydrogen bonded molecular crystals. So first we can see non-polar molecular crystals. So in non-polar molecular crystals, usually, so here molecules, isn't it? So these lattice points, otherwise constituents, are linked together by a force that is called as London force. Okay, so what's that force is called as London force. And one more thing, the example of this non-polar molecular crystal is anthracene, naphthalene. So these are the example for this non-polar molecular crystals. Is it clear? So next we can see polar molecular crystals. Okay. So in this polar molecular crystals, the constituents are linked together by a force that is called as dipole-dipole interaction. Dipole-dipole interaction. Okay. So example of this polar molecular crystal is solid carbon dioxide, solid NH3 ammonia. So these are the example for this polar molecular crystals. So next we can one more classification is there, that is hydrogen bonded molecular crystal. From the word itself we can understand here constituents are linked together by hydrogen bonding, isn't it? So linked together by hydrogen bonds. Example for this hydrogen bonded molecular crystal is water. Is it clear? So once again, molecular crystals are classified into polar molecular crystals, non-polar molecular crystals, hydrogen bonded molecular crystals. So here polar molecular crystal means constituents may be linked together by dipole-dipole interaction. The best example is solid carbon dioxide and solid ammonia. So here non-polar molecular crystals, non-polar molecular crystal constituents are linked together by London force. Example anthracene and naphthalene. So in hydrogen bonded molecular crystals, so these constituents are linked together by a bond that is called as hydrogen bonds. So example it is water. Okay. So next we can, one more classification is there, that is metallic crystals, isn't it? So in metallic crystals, usually, so it is having the arrangement that is a positive ion, maybe immersed in a sea of mobile electrons. So consider this as electrons. So a positive ion can be immersed in a sea of mobile electron. Otherwise, reverse also. A negative ion can be immersed in a mobile of positive atoms. Okay. So these positive ion and these negative ions can be linked together by bond that is called as metallic bond. Okay. So usually metallic crystals, example is metals. So metals copper, zinc, or we can expect alloys also. For example, copper, zinc, silver. So many examples we can say. Have you understand? So here whatever we have seen, that is crystalline solids are classified into ionic crystals, molecular crystals, covalent crystals and metallic crystals. So first we have seen ionic crystals. In ionic crystals, constituents are cations and anions. So these cations and anions can be linked together by electrostatic force. Example, sodium chloride. So next we have discussed the properties also. So next we can see molecular crystals. Molecular crystals are divided into polar, non-polar and hydrogen bonded molecular crystal. So polar, non-polar and hydrogen bonded we have seen, isn't it? So polar molecular crystals, so they constituents are linked together by dipole-dipole interaction. In non-polar it is London force. In hydrogen bonded molecular crystal, constituents are linked together by hydrogen bonds. So next covalent crystals we have seen. In covalent crystals, the constituents are linked together by covalent bonds. So in metallic crystals, the constituents are linked together by metals. Example, copper, zinc, silver, these are the examples. Okay. So next we can see unit cell. The basic unit of a crystalline solid is called as unit cell. Okay. So what is unit cell? So unit cell means, so it is a basic structural unit of a crystalline solid. So it is called as unit cell. Okay. So this unit cell so having three parameters. One is so what are they? Three crystallographic axes. That is X, Y, Z. Okay. So next, so this length that is called as, this is the center point and this length we can term as A. So this is B and this length we can term as C. Okay. That is called as edge length. Or it is termed as primitive, that is A, B, C. And we are having three crystallographic angles. This is alpha and here beta and here gamma. Okay. So these three are called as crystallographic angles. So question may be, so what are the parameters of a unit cell? So what are the parameters of a unit cell? That is crystallographic axis. So edge length or primitives or crystallographic angles. Okay. So here crystallographic axis X, Y, Z, edge length A, B, C and crystallographic angle is alpha, beta and gamma. Okay. So this unit cell can be classified further into simple cubic, face-centered cubic and body-centered cubic unit cell. So what are they? First one is simple cubic unit cell. Next one is face-centered cubic unit cell. Cubic unit cell. So this maybe in short we can write SC. So this face-centered cubic unit cell we can write FCC. So this body-centered cubic unit cell. So we can in short write BCC. Is it clear? So this cubic unit cells are further classified into simple cubic, face-centered cubic and body-centered cubic unit cell. Okay. So consider maybe, so if it is a cube, book is a cuboid form, so consider maybe it is a cube means, so usually how many corners are in a cube? 1, at the back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, isn't it? So how many corners are in a cube? 8 corners are there. Then faces, how many faces are there? So faces here 1, 2, 3, 4, here 1 5 and here 1 6. So totally, so if it is a cube, it is having 8 corners and it is having 6 faces. So how many center it is there? Only one center for a cube. So this is the basic knowledge you should have for this cube. Then we can come to this topic. Okay. So see here first, simple cubic unit cell, isn't it? So we can draw like this simple cubic unit cell. First one. So in simple cubic unit cell, only the atoms are present in the corner. Okay. So these are the corner in a cube, isn't it? So how many corners are there? Totally 8 corners are there, isn't it? So if it is a simple cubic unit cell, the atoms are present only at the corners. So if you have to calculate the total number of atoms present in a simple cubic unit cell, can be calculated by the formula number of atoms in one unit cell is equal to number of corners divided by, so here each corner atom can be shared by 8 other corners in as a crystal. When you are considering about a crystal, so it is having, so such type of basic units are repeating together and we are getting a crystalline solid, isn't it? So when this cubes are repeating together, so each corner atom can be shared with 8 other cubes. Okay, that number of sharing should be written here, that is NC by 8. So this is the formula for calculating number of atoms present in one unit cell. So that is equal to, so number of corners in a cube, that is 8 divided by contribution, so which is equal to 1. So we can say that in simple cubic unit cell, number of atoms present per unit cell is equal to 1. Okay. So next we can see face-centered cube. So in questions, maybe they can ask sketch simple cubic, face-centered cubic and body-centered cubic. Otherwise, calculate the number of atoms present in face-centered cubic unit cell or SC or BCC. So if they have asked to calculate the number of atoms, first we have to draw that cube. So afterwards we have to do the calculation. So next FCC. So FCC we can draw like this. So along with the corner atoms, so they are having atoms in phases also. So 6 phases are there. Here one, here one, here, here and here. One phase at the front and one phase at the back, isn't it? So here I am giving 2. Is it clear? So we have to do like this. If it is more spaces here, so we can draw it neatly. Is it clear? So now, so total number of atoms present per unit cell can be calculated by total number of atoms per unit cell is equal to, so in face-centered cube, the atoms we can see not only in the corners but it is in the face also. So for calculation we have to introduce the number of faces also. So total NC by 8 divided by NF number of faces in the cube divided by its contribution. So as a whole crystal, so each face in a particular unit cell can be shared with one more cube, that is 2 cubes can share one face. So this sharing must be 2. So calculation, when you are writing number of corners in a cube 8 divided by 8 plus number of faces in a cube 6 faces divided by 2. So which is equal to 1 plus 3 is equal to 4. So total number of atoms per unit cell is equal to 4. Then one more we have to do, that is body centered cube. Third one BCC. Here when you are drawing along with the corner atoms, you have to draw one more, that is center of the cube also, isn't it? So here corner atoms, 8 corner atoms are there. Along with the corner atom, one more center of the cube also here. Okay. So along with this, so we are having SC, FCC, and same thing here also we can calculate total number of atoms. Total number of atoms is equal to NC divided by 8 plus NB, that is number of atoms in S cube divided by its sharing. Usually, so center atom, so for each cube only one center, though no other sharing, isn't it? So NB divided by 1. So which is equal to 8 number of corners 8 plus number of body center of the body is 1 divided by 1, which is equal to 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So here, so what we have seen, that is cubic unit cells are classified into 3: simple cubic unit cell, face-centered cubic unit cell, body-centered cubic unit cell. So first maybe draw, otherwise sketch simple cubic, face-centered cubic or body-centered cubic. So otherwise first maybe calculate the total number of atoms per unit cell in FCC or BCC or SC they can ask. Okay. So simple cubic, first you have to know how to draw this. So afterwards calculation in simple cubic, NC by 8 formula 1. Here NC by 8 plus NF by 2 4. So here NC by 8 plus NB 1 NB by 1, that is 2. Okay. So next we can see how we can calculate density or interatomic distance in crystalline solids. So according to X-ray diffraction studies, the edge length of a particular crystal can be calculated by using Bragg's equation. So Bragg's equation is n lambda is equal to 2d sin theta. Okay. So in this equation, here d is called as interatomic distance, or it is interplanar distance. That is length of, from this we can find out the length, edge length of a unit cell. So next, n is called as order of diffraction. So here lambda is called as wavelength and theta is called as angle of diffraction. So we have to find the interplanar distance of a particular crystal, means rearrange this equation. So d is equal to n lambda divided by 2 sin theta. From this equation, you can find out the interplanar distance or interatomic distance of a cubic crystal. Is it clear? So from Bragg's equation, we have find out this d value. So next we can see one more question, that is how we can calculate density of a crystal. Okay. So density of a crystal can be calculated by the formula. So d is equal to m by d. So density of a crystal. So density of crystals can be calculated by the formula. So d is equal to m divided by v. Isn't it? So m is called as mass of the atom. So v is volume of the particular cube, otherwise crystal, isn't it? So mass of the atom. So mass of the atom can be calculated by mass of total number of atoms present in that particular unit, that is number of atoms into mass of one atom. Okay. So here density is equal to mass of that particular crystal divided by volume. Okay. So from this we can find out density of a particular crystal. So here mass of that, this m can be calculated by the formula. So here mass of one atom. So total numbers, maybe in one cubic unit cell we can have 8 or 10 atoms. So this mass of the atom is equal to number of atoms present in that crystal into mass of one atom. So total number of atoms can be given by a simple n, but mass of one atom can be given by total mass divided by Avogadro number, that is molar mass of that particular atom divided, maybe if it is a barium crystal, so mass of that barium divided by Avogadro number. Okay. So n m divided by n. So next, so we should write volume also. So the volume of the crystal is, so edge length into a into a into a, which is equal to a cube. So we have got m value and v value also there. So afterwards you can write density of a crystal is equal to n m divided by a cube into n a. Is it clear? So this is the formula for calculating density of a crystal. So in this class we have seen, so starting characteristics of a solid, isn't it? So afterwards, so this solids are classified into crystalline solids and amorphous solids. So crystalline solids are further, so difference between crystalline solid and amorphous solids also we have studied. So crystalline solids are further classified into ionic solids, ionic crystals, molecular crystals, metallic crystals, and last one is already we have studied, isn't it? So this types of crystal, after completing this types of crystalline solids, so we have studied cubic unit cells are classified into three, that is simple cubic unit cell, face-centered cubic unit cell and body-centered cubic unit cells. Okay, so these three unit cells, its diagram and total number of atoms we have calculated by using the formula. So afterwards we have seen, so from the Bragg's equation, how we can find out the interatomic distance or interplanar distance between two atoms. So this will be calculated by using the equation that is called as Bragg's equation. So according to Bragg's equation, n lambda is equal to 2d sin theta. When you rearrange the equation, we can find out the d value. So afterwards, density of a crystal can be calculated by d is equal to nm by a cube into na. Is it clear? Okay, thank you students.